ultimate decision, I'll keep you posted.
Just being at the cherries, usually there.
Yeah,
Yes.
might be here by 7.
So, but I haven't heard from him since. Okay, so Tom Ferry asked if he could come and talk to the board about a project that he has ongoing at Aurora and William Street. I brought the file with me too. Funny thing. So, Tom, I don't know if everybody knows you. Come on, you can stand up.
Yes, thank you.
You're on now, okay? I told you you had about 10 minutes. So, you know Diane, of course, and Kevin Loftus. Do you know Ron Rufino? Okay, Dawn Gashevsky. I've known you forever, okay?
Nope, that's it.
Adam Dickman, that's a good thing. And your father before you. And you, of course, know Shelley. This is Mark Dean, his
So
architect.
Mark Dean knows the specifics, he knows the specifics much better than I do, so I'm going to let him speak on the matter.
Got it, okay.
So we started the project at 473 Aurora. It's a 2-story structure. It has commercial space on the first floor, apartments on the second floor. There's a total of 6 apartments, and originally there were a total of 4 tenant spaces available on the first floor. So the first tenant that approached us was Leo's, and they ended up taking 2 of the spaces. And, so
On the ground floor?
on the ground floor.
Correct.
So we're only going to end up with 3 tenants. Same square footage we're talking about. And as Leo's developed, we discovered that there was a need for or want to have a balcony area, a mezzanine area. And as we develop the mezzanine area, we have a sitting area in it, and we have a private dining space in it. The mezzanine area itself, the sitting area, we were still within the parking requirements, but with the additional space of a private dining room, which is, I think, roughly 15 by 20, has a seating capacity of about 20 people. And so by the addition of that space, it pushed us over on the number of parking spaces required.
And if you don't mind, if I could take a little of your time so that the board understands that the number of seats that you have in a restaurant drives the number of parking spaces that are required within our code. And so every use can have a different requirement as far as parking spaces. So
Right.
restaurants probably,
One is-
correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably the most intensive requirement for parking spaces.
1 in 3 seats.
1 for 3 seats,
Okay.
right. There's actually a summary or a parking analysis in the lower right-hand corner. The dwelling units actually require 2 spaces per unit. Now, some of our units, 2 of our units are smaller 1-bedroom apartments, roughly between 500 and 700 square feet, but they still have 2 parking spaces associated with them. The takeout area of the Leo's Pizzeria also has spaces associated with strictly the takeout area. And then the 2 remaining tenancies have 17 spaces between them. This is for Ms. Benzinger's dry cleaning, which is just a drop-off. They're not actually doing a cleaning there, it's just a drop-off and a pickup. And then we have a center space, which is not leased yet. We made a presentation to the planning board, which unfortunately they did not see favorably. And the presentation was for 9 additional parking spaces, which is located in the far left upper corner of this site plan. So the 9 additional parking spaces would allow us to utilize the private dining room, which is again for 15 to 20 people. It's a room that's 15 feet by 20 feet, sectioned off from the rest of the restaurant. The 9 additional spaces fully complies with the required parking for the entire structure. It fully complies with all of the zoning requirements, the setbacks, green space, retention, drainage. It's been reviewed by the town engineer for drainage, and I believe reviewed favorably that it complies with the requirements. But again, there was some concern of the density of what's happening on William Street compared with this project. But I guess the basic point we want to make is this project meets all of the codes. We're not asking for any variances or anything with regard to the setback or the parking requirement. We would just like to add these 9 spaces so that we can utilize the building to its fullest potential. Our tenant can foresee their full potential of the space that they're looking to rent from us.
Okay, I have a couple of maybe comments. One is you did get a variance, a setback variance from William Street, 9
we-
feet 9 inches, correct?
Right, that was for the front yard setback.
Front
of the
yard
building.
setback,
Right,
that's
that was,
correct.
yeah, quite some time ago that we did get that variance.
That is
yes.
correct.
Right.
That was back in February 2018, we got that.
Right.
So you do have the setback variance there, which means that you have eliminated 9 feet 9 inches of area upon which you can dump your snow when, let's face it, it's nice right now, but it's not going to be in a couple of months. So,
True.
so we could have anywhere between, 5 and 6 months of snow that needs to be put somewhere.
Right, and we do have areas for snow. There's a substantial amount of green space in the front yard, in the side yard, between the 2 buildings, and there's a large retention area all the way to the west side of the property. In addition to that, we have in our contract with our snow removal people, prices for high lifts to remove snow when we need to do that. So that's already built into our contract with our snow removal people.
It would have to be hauled
Right.
off because
Yeah.
you're really tight with the child care center back there. I mean,
Right.
this is almost shoehorned in there. And
It's
so,
one
you know,
contiguous piece of property.
If we
so-
lived down south where we didn't have snow to contend with, it would be different. But
Right.
yeah, I agree, you're going to have to bring high lifts in and haul the snow out. And I think every one of us are pretty well aware of the tightness of that particular intersection there.
Sure.
It's very tight, it's always congested. Okay, there isn't a time of day that it is slow there. So that will be tight, and if snow is piling up, people aren't going to be able to see themselves clear to get into the driveway. So
Our thought was that the 9 additional spaces really helped alleviate a lot of those issues rather than create more issues. Yeah, so,
And I did go through an entire season already, having plowed, and, obviously, we made it. This was not our highest volume year by any means.
But you didn't have anybody, you had no tenants, you have no one in there.
We still had to plow it, and I still had to keep everything open. So the visual sightlines were available to everyone,
Okay,
regardless of the density or how many people I had parked there. I had
Okay.
numerous people.
so those are my concerns. It's parking, it's tight, the fact that, there's already reduction in the, with the front yard setback of nearly 10 feet, that reduces the area that you can put the snow. I'm not a snow removal person, and I don't pretend to be, but I am a driver and I know what it's like to get in and out of these, parking lots, so.
Mark, do we not have 25 feet here?
yeah, well, I guess part of what we feel is important to understand is the planning board and the town board previously approved this site plan as it is, right?
That's correct,
And
right.
our request right now is to add 9 spaces over here, which we're hoping would alleviate some of the issues that you're talking about here by adding these 9 spaces. That this site plan was fully approved as is. We had already previously discussed with the snow mitigation, and regardless of that, the 9 spaces over here meet the town requirements.
I understand
meet the
that you
setback
meet that,
requirements.
right.
And we feel help alleviate many of the issues that were brought up.
And
rather
that's
than
the
call-
conundrum that I have, is that you do meet the minimum requirements, but you have met them because of a variance that's been granted. You did have a site plan that was previously approved. The one that you brought to us was approved.
With living space
And-
on the second floor. And
Correct.
commercial.
Right.
That's what we have now.
Right.
We have 6 apartments on the second floor, and then commercial space on the first floor.
But you changed it to a mezzanine seating for Leo's on the second floor?
And just in the Leo's area.
Did you approach the building department without changing plan?
Yes.
They've had the plans. I think that we're waiting for a final decision here before we get 100% a review of those plans.
Yeah, I think we got those around August 12th or so, Matt.
Well, there was a permit issued for the original.
For the original.
Pizzeria,
Got it.
and through the process of construction, the amendment was made, and as soon as that was realized, that's when the applicant was notified that they really need to come in to amend and make some provision for the additional parking spaces. Because the parking was an issue at the original approval.
So did the cart come before the horse? The diamond Spence is what
Well,
you're
I mean, as I said, the original build-out for the pizzeria the permit was issued based upon the existing counts and, the 8 apartments and the 2 remaining commercial spaces. So, it did put a strain on the parking, but once the second floor level was installed, it was clear that it was going to exceed the allowable parking.
And again, the basic seating area of the mezzanine still falls within the original site plan
Right.
parking requirements. It's the additional room in the end, which is the private dining room, roughly 15 by 20, that requires the additional spaces.
Guess I'm just looking at it, if the Bills make the Super Bowl or something, it's going to be crazy there.
I
So-
see public safety
Well, they
issues.
can only fit as many people as allowed.
I know.
So that's
But that doesn't keep people from
true.
trying to get in and then finding out it's full when they can't. So, no, I like pizza. It's just, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here and look at the whole thing, and I understand that you do, that this number of spaces doesn't apply. So, I got that. Right.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you for letting us speak.
Okay, anything else? Any of the board members have any questions?
No.
No? Okay, all right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks
have a
very
good
much.
night, all right. A while ago, the board did approve the SRO agreement, and we probably at the next board meeting, we may be getting an amended agreement. There have been some changes, some new guidance from the New York State Education Department. The chief has reviewed it, I've reviewed it, a few people have, and weighed in on it. So I believe the school board may be adopting a resolution tonight authorizing the new agreement. It's some pretty much innocuous language, although the chief, you have spoken with the SROs and we intend to, bring them up to date on the new guidance. But so that may be coming to us again for the next meeting. If the school district adopts it tonight, we should have it for the next meeting. Kevin, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's that. And we're going to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Dante Volpini and Patricia Atlas and Joyce Mung. And you have all those, right, Diane? Okay. All right. So, anybody else have anything? No? Dan?
I don't have much time. I just want to talk to you about a couple of issues as far as drainage.
Okay.
We can do that another time. I can send it in an email.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, there's a piece of property, I sent Kevin an email today that's owned by Giselle Enterprises.
I saw that. They're still the owners of it.
Yeah, and I don't know what we can do, if we could ask them to clean it out, if not, so whatever the board decides to do. we have to do. So that's one. The other one, I can talk to them about.
We really need to notify them through
Well,
formal notice of violation.
that's what I told Kevin. Kevin's going to say,
Yeah, other than writing a letter, in terms of working with you,
Yeah, I mean, the format and the way the code is written is that we have to notify them, give them the opportunity to remedy, when that doesn't happen, the board can take action and remedy the situation.
All right, is that something that, like a notice in your office would send out?
We would have to send a notice out, yeah. There's a stormwater violation,
Yes.
which is agreed or whatever that needs to be remedied. We notify them, let them know, we post it, we'll, just like what we're doing with the other properties.
The other issue, Joanna, too, I told Man about, Ed and I have been out there on William Street. It's a ditch that goes from Williamsburg down William and goes back to Milton Pond. There's an abandoned house in there, if you got a chance to look at it. And there was actually I want to say a cesspool of a pond that was blocked up because it wasn't going through the pipe, it was going back to the,
On Williamsburg?
no, it's on William Street.
On Williamsburg.
And Ed was out to look at it, we looked at it, we have to replace the pipe, but that house should be abandoned, I mean, should be demolished.
The tax rolls don't even recognize the house on it, so
They
it's,
don't?
it's a vacant piece of property. The house is abandoned and it's probably in pieces.
And the area smells, because I don't know if it was a septic on the property or not, but it's been causing a lot of problems that we can see Ed all the way back to Williamsburg, they go down for years, you know. So we're gonna flush the pipes from Williamsburg heading west, but we have to address that ditch.
Should this be on your list for demolition?
Well, it's, I don't even know what the condition of the building is. It's not even recognized.
Yeah,
It's a building on the property. It is private property.
Right.
So, I mean, again, looking at it through the stormwater management code, you know, we could try to notify the owner that there's a problem there,
Right,
force them to remedy. If not, by all means.
are the
have,
taxes
you know,
paid?
Yes,
They
yes, they're all up to date, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to see the town be able to take that property if possible, because you can't build a house there.
Well, I mean,
Well, you can't take
Purchase
it from
or purchase,
our-
or purchase
Yeah,
it
you have
anyways,
to buy it.
because that would give us direct access to Milton Pond, which we don't have right now.
Right.
But to build a house there, Ed, do you think we could build a house there?
frontage on William Street allows, but you know, you have to look at all the environmental features, you have to look at the physical characteristics of the land compared to the zoning requirements and see if they can fit a house.
Yeah, it's pretty wet now.
Never say never. Way in the back, no, but at William Street,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the flooding of all William Street, that's where it is right now.
I understand,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
that has to be taken into account in the design of anything that's proposed, right? So
Oh, yeah.
we know what the issues are, but you know, the reality is there's a drainage issue there. We have to notify them, let them know that there's a problem, and then I think we can get to take some legal action and get in there and get the work done.
Got it. Okay, resolutions here, I think before we even go through those, we have max resolutions that we're gonna have to divvy up here. Anybody wanna take them all, or do you wanna hopscotch on them?
Take one of the bathrooms.
There is a back.
Very best one.
Food filter. What number is that?
24. The restroom. That was the project I was working with during that.
Okay.
5 and 6 are both senior center.
That's senior center stuff.
Yeah, which is the correction.
Yeah,
See you
they-
last week.
I don't know how.
I've got
the
a lot of
one vendor
resolutions
there.
tonight. I
Do
don't
you
know if
wanna-
somebody else wants to.
Sure. And why don't you take 5 and 6? Because I don't think we're going to see them. Let's see here. Is that it? Okay. Wait, he picked the 9.
I was trying to someone on your Google search there.
I didn't volunteer for that.
I'll go look through my book, see if I can find something in there. Didn't even think about that. Okay, so the resolutions, 1, 2, and 3 are the obvious ones, the standard, Dawn,
CBDG.
yes. And that, since we just awarded it,
Public hearing.
yeah. I
Hey,
mean,
it's
we have
worth a try.
Well, we have to do the public hearing
Yes.
regardless, but, you know, the odds are slim to none on that. And the cardio strider, you know, what happened was the resolution somehow had, I don't know, if maybe Janice didn't pick up, didn't change
It's a different,
something. I
yeah, it's a
think,
different vendor.
yeah,
Yeah.
so she had the vendor wrong on it, so we have to rescind that and adopt it with the correct vendor. And then the dogs revision, so the dogs are, go ahead.
Oh, it's just basically a whole public hearing to define what service dog means, the way we're complying with state regulations. That's what they want us to do, so.
Got it. And resolution number 8 was to allow the town clerk to invest with class, New York class. That is where we invest all of our totally liquid. We can put it in today and take it out tomorrow if we want, or take it out today. Right now, class's interest rate is 2.02. Typically, banks, if you wanted liquidity of the funds, is 0.2%. So it's more than 10%, or 10 times as much. So that's a good thing. So we talked to Diane and she'd like to do that. So 9 is, waive the portion of, the town portion of the marriage license fee for active military duty members. And right now the state has adopted legislation to waive the state portion of the fee, and they've opened it up, allowing the municipalities to waive it. I asked Diane, there are a handful, maybe 5 a year or something.
Not many, that's active duty.
Yes, so it's very minimal, but that's the least we can do, so. Adam,
10 is just hold a public hearing for special use permit for a dog training facility.
Dawn,
Well, this is the basketball court donation from that family.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we found that they don't have the funds at present, so we thought it best to rescind
yeah,
or work with the contractors until they raise the
until they
funds.
get the funds. So it's not a dead deal, it's just
No, once they.
delayed. Right. And Lancaster Rural Cemetery, they have requested the second half of their annual allowance from the town, so that's $7,500. And Flynn Battaglia has added to their proposal to get competitive bids for the painting of the Historical Society building. We feel that we do have the funds available to do that, to do the painting, so we'd like them to, put it out to bid. So it's an additional $800 to their agreement. So hopefully, we can at least get started on that very, very soon.
Are the steps included in this, anyone, the front
Yeah, the
porch?
whole,
Because it's
yeah, the whole
really-
portico,
Yeah.
yes.
Really
That was a
deteriorating.
separate
Yeah,
bid.
Michelle, the portico is a separate bid, and that is going to be done, yes. And the painting will also
We sort of
occur,
had to
so.
prop the stairs up.
I saw on there the other day, yeah. So, and let's see here, we're going to be requesting that, resolution number 15 requests that Erie County put a weight restriction on Pleasant View Drive. So, Dawn,
16 surplus equipment.
Yeah.
Michelle's
right, then we have all these neg deck that's just for additional parking spaces at the Aldi's Plaza up there. And the site plan then for Aldi's, it's actually for the Rachel's Mediterranean Grill up there that is being added to that wood plaza. Dawn, you have 19?
Renewal of an agreement with the Lancaster School District for the use of their.
I think that's a 5-year agreement.
5-year agreement, yes.
And Ron, 20?
PRT for someone.
And add on the land use.
This is the land use agreement between the police, well, the town Lancaster Police Department and Caldwell Crush Stone for the police department to do some training and shooting at the quarry.
And Kevin has a stack of the agreements. I'll sign them after the resolution's adopted. You can take it to the company so that they have it, okay? I know that was time sensitive, so. And then we're going to set a public hearing to amend the V&T code, and that's chapter 46 for, particularly for stop signs in the courtyard at Pleasant Meadow subdivision. I did some research on that because it's a private subdivision. It's mandatory that the police chief direct the town to install stop signs. Apparently, there are stop signs there,
They're small.
but the developer put them in.
They're very small.
They're not regulation at all. It was never put in the town code. This particular subdivision, the map cover was filed on August 30th of 2006. So since that point in time, those small little pretend stop signs have been there. It was brought to the attention of the police department by a group of residents who live up there that, that people were just sort of driving through. Lieutenant Domino discovered then that there were no teeth in the violations that he cited them with. He couldn't ticket them because it's not in the town code. So we are now going to set a public hearing for the next town board meeting to, and to be perfectly honest with you, Kevin, at that public hearing, unless we get some big, huge outcry in opposition to it, I'd like to have a resolution on it that same meeting to be adopted after, immediately following the public hearing, because, this has been ongoing for 13 years. So, this is...
We install them or they?
And we direct the highway department. We will send them, the town clerk sends you a letter advising you to put them up at the particular locations, and your guys know.
I was talking to them in the past about it. I told them, I said, that it was their private property and they can do it.
Yes, so we can if we're directed by the police chief because it's a public safety measure. So, right, there are quite a few. So we're ready to roll with that, and let's get it done the right way. So that's that one. Adam, the tactical diversion task force.
Yep, just between the police and DEA for their task force.
Got it. And Dawn.
And this is for the senior center restroom rehabilitation. I'm assuming this is the safety features and the painting and the
The partitions, yeah, the stalls, the sink, and all the works.
thank you.
And Ron.
We check the bids for the highway trucks.
And so Dan, you're either going to rebid it or look to see if you can maybe get 2020s off of some state or county.
We will, if I was doing that, but he did get a letter to rebid it,
To rebid?
to rebid for 2020.
Okay, got it. Okay, very good. And that's that. Anybody have anything?
Yes, if you don't mind, I got a couple of things from last week.
Okay.
We did meet with the Erie County Clerk's Zombie Initiative Task Force, so they're going to provide us a link to get better information on those vacant properties that need to be registered by these banks. And there's another agreement that they had asked us to look at and sign. Kevin has a copy of it.
I took a look at it, yeah.
And it's basically a memorandum of understanding for the supervisor to sign. The EPA did also have a conference call with myself and Ed Schiller on Friday morning. We discussed the MS for the audit that they did, and Ed has prepared an operation and maintenance guide for the stormwater ponds that perhaps we'll be using to forward out to all these individual ponds. We had our implementation meeting at 5 o'clock today, and there was a topic of discussion that this board should be aware of and perhaps get some media outreach involved regarding the pedestrian and bike paths.
Yes.
Between the 3 municipalities. So we're receiving a survey that we'd like to get uploaded to the website so that residents could voice their opinions and answer the questions on the survey. It's directly tied to a grant.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Ralph Wilson Foundation is interested in providing grants, potential grants to municipalities. But the issue here is, it has to be a municipality that, into biking.
Yes,
And
interested in that.
interested in biking, yes. So Lynn Ruder provided me a link that I'm going to forward to Diane. She just asked me, the more times 14086 shows up on the survey, the more interest we'll get from
Michelle, I think this would be something that would be good to put out there, a survey on the recreation Facebook page, asking residents to.
Yes. And Tom's bike shop too, you know, he does a lot of bike runs.
They've already reached out to him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, right. Yes, I can do that.
I'll forward it.
The more notification, the better, and it's the better chance that both the town and the two villages can get this funding from this source.
Put it on the homepage so people will see it.
Yeah. Just get the dig for it, and
Right.
I can see it.
And then lastly,
There's a lot on the homepage. Yeah.
I was able to forward Kevin and outside counsel the final notice of violations for those two properties that we're considering to put up a public hearing, probably the October meeting.
Yeah, we'll have the resolution after the next meeting.
To me, that would be temporary. I like that, but I'm not a little bit like that. Like it's a temporary thing.
Yeah, I can put it out for as long as I publish it with a certain date.
Well, I'm saying is the service and all that.
Right. Yeah, so they can- yeah, I try to